I'd rather move around a bit rather than instead of just standing. So can I ask the guys to just turn on the house lights? It's nice to see your face, but I will know if you're sleeping or playing around lang pala with the laptop. Okay, so thanks for coming today. I'd like to thank the CS Student Government for facilitating this event. Hopefully, by the end of this session, you will take away something that's really important, which is that the world out there is bigger than you think it is. Software is going to change the way the world does things, and you will be part of it. The only thing is, you have to be good at it, because if you're not, you won't be a significant part of that change. So in the next few minutes, I'll talk a little bit about what DevCon is and how we're trying to help build a community to affect this change. And hopefully you guys will volunteer, you'll get inspired, and you'll join us. Can you see the slide even with the lights on? No? Sorry. So can we turn on one or two lights na lang? Kahit yung dalawa. Is that better? Okay, pwede na yan. So we were founded in 2009. We started as a small organization. We were built under the PSIA umbrella, or the Philippine Software Industry Association. We've touched the lives of about 6,000 to 7,000 people who are now part of the organizations that's trying to make change in the Philippines, trying to get the young people to understand what it is becoming an entrepreneur rather than just an employee, and how to take your ideas and make it something big. Just imagine, for those of you who have seen Social Network, the movie, about Facebook is the biggest application, I think, today. And it started in a dorm room when a couple of guys had this idea about, putting this together to connect people. Just imagine if you can think of the next best thing. I don't think there's a truth to the idea that you always have to be first mover. You probably don't have to be. You just have to be better. Kaya lagi namin sinasabi na if you want to really be an impact to your community, you just have to be the best you can be at anything you do. Google was not the first. Certainly the iPod was not the first MP3 player. There were other MP3 players that were clunky and ugly, but Steve Jobs just made the MP3 sensation a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit classier, and it's something that everybody wants to have. So this event is designed for geeks, by the geeks. Now, so you speakers, lahat are geeks. So who's a geek in this room today? Can I see a raise of hands? Who are geeks? Ano pala kayo? Diba? It's cool to be a geek today. When you go to Silicon Valley and you meet up with the folks that are working there, or the Bay Area, where Google where Facebook and Twitter has their office, you will see geeks that are really cool. And these guys are really making tons of money and being really successful. Okay, it's cool to be a geek. Okay, so I graduated from UP. I worked and Betsy, one of the speakers, also graduated from UP. Dinadamay kita dito, pre. Let me tell you a little bit about how computers were during our time. The first computer I worked on is about half the size of this stage. Half this size. I wrote code on punch cards. You don't even know what punch cards are. We didn't even know what floppy disks were at that time. No? The language was called Fortran. No? The last line of code I wrote after I joined Accenture, before I quit, was in a computer about this size, slightly smaller. It's called the AS400. The AS400 is still running today. IBM built it so strong it doesn't break. The language was in COBOL. So all of these things are what they now call legacy. In other words, luma. Laos. Diba? But if you look at me, I'm not really that old. In other words, we're in an industry that moves faster than you can ever imagine. The first personal computer I had a lesser memory than this iPhone. By maybe 1,000 times, no? No? It can't even run Lotus 123. And nobody even knows what Lotus 123 is anymore today. That's how fast this world is moving. Kaya, if you just sit in your classroom and not see what's happening out there, you're never going to make it. Okay? I joined Exist in 2006, and it accelerated my tech life. I've learned so many things today that I never thought I'd learn. I'm not a technologist, really deep one, but I understand where technology is going. So my email address is there, jerry@devcon.ph. If you need to know anything about this industry, feel free to email me. Okay, let me quickly breeze through this. It's a couple of slides. These are the elements of a DevCon. The DevCon kasi is designed to get you guys talking so that you'll know what the other has in mind and how you can share it. So we will have lightning talks today. Everybody's given 10 minutes to talk about something that they're passionate about. Alam mo, yan din ang kulang kasi minsan sa atin. We talk about technology, but we talk about it as if it was an assignment, rather than it's something that we love doing. No? Think about this. Can you talk about your machine problem as passionately as you talk about Dota? Diba? Kasi if you can do that, that's being passionate. Yan ang kulang kasi. Ginagawa kasi minsan natin, pwede na yan. Hindi pwedeng ang pwede na yan. Always remember that. If we were to make an impact in this large IT revolution, hindi pwede yung pwede na. Kasi you will never make it. Okay? I'm challenging everyone to really think outside of the box. Sorry. Let me just... So these are real pictures. I like showing pictures. Kasi mamaya, isipin nyo, this is the first time we've done it. Tapos binobola lang namin kayo. Now, we've done this a couple of times. We've been doing this DevCon for the past 2 years. So these are real people who are talking about technology. Yung lady on the left side, top, yung slim na girl, she's a graduate of Salle. Her name is Deng Ching. She's, I think, about late 20s. She's a member of the Apache Software Foundation. She's the VP of that organization, which is a global open source development team. She manages a project in the open source called Apache Archiva. And she's one of the first female leads in Apache. And she's a Filipina, graduated from De La Salle. Okay. Birds of a feather, ito yung sinasabi nilang debate kanina. Dito sa birds of a feather later, you guys should participate. Alam niyo, nakakatuwa ito kasi a lot of times when you talk about technologies and when you debate about technologies, kunyari kami, my company is more open source centric. So we talk about stuff that we don't like Microsoft. Pero important niyan, pag tinatanong sa'yo, why don't you like Microsoft? You should know how to answer it. Or you ask a Microsoft guy and you say, how come you prefer Microsoft over open source technologies? You cannot just say that, I just don't like it. You should be able to explain why you don't like it, why you like the other one better, and the best way is to get a couple of passionate people to talk about technologies they love. Kaya yung BOF. You'll enjoy that later. Share your views on a friendly debate. Sometimes it doesn't end so friendly, but it's okay. We have bouncers naman here to... No, I'm just kidding. So these are real debates that happen normally, groups of 3. Tapos there will be 3 rounds. And it'll make you understand different platforms better. You know, Linux versus Windows versus Mac platform. You know, what's better? What can you use? Stuff like that. Then there's a hackathon. The hackathon we don't do today. Maybe the next time we don't have enough time to do that. But we actually get people to build an application in the span of 45 minutes. We tell them this is the technology you use, ito yung approach, ito yung tools, and then a couple of teams will go and build their application for the next 45 minutes, and they'll be judged by a panel of judges kung sinong pinaka-complete. May UI ba yan? May database structure ba yan? Complete ba yan? Can it deliver? No, so it's very interesting. And we've had a couple of these events. Surprisingly, a lot of times, the students win. Over professionals, ha? Nagugulat nga kami. So it's really, at some point kasi, it's important for students to feel na kaya pala nila eh. Kaya niyong gawin yan eh. You just really need to put your heart into it eh. And you need to work as a team kasi hackathons are team-based. I don't have much time, so I will breeze through. Oops. That's mostly our office because we host a lot of these events. Okay, now this is something important. We call it Code Camp. There are so many emerging technologies kasi today that's very hard to put into a curriculum. In other words, you can't say that tomorrow we will offer an iPhone development class. Diba? It doesn't happen that way. But it doesn't mean that you guys can't go and learn it. So yung ginagawa ng DevCon is we have what we call code camps. We get technologies together to run training sessions on emerging or growing technologies. Stuff that allow you to build web applications faster than you can ever imagine. Platforms or frameworks that allow you to repeatably deliver via, kunyari, cloud. Kunyari, yung software as a service. Diba? Mga ganong klaseng technology. The Code Camp, the Code Camp is a really interesting event. So pag meron ganyan, when we offer it, try to sign up. Yung maganda kasi sa DevCon, libre lahat eh. We don't ask anyone to pay. We just ask everyone to come and be willing to learn. Yun lang ang pinaka-gate pass nyo dito. If you're not willing to learn in the first place, you don't have to come. No? Learning is fun. So these are real guys with real technologies, young and old, students and professionals, sitting and really hacking it out, trying to build that next quote-unquote big thing within a timeline na binibigay din namin during the Code Camp. Kasi yung Code Camp is real mentoring, real coding as you go. Now, why do DevCons work? DevCons because, it's not structured. People feel at ease, and we allow you to talk. So please participate today. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Anybody will answer you, or we'll try our best to answer you. The biggest asset and the biggest problem of the Filipinos is same. It's our ability to speak English. It's our biggest asset because that's our edge. The biggest global market for software is still in the US or English-speaking countries, and we're good at speaking English. The most difficult part about Filipinos is that we don't speak our mind. Diba? When you have this really tough American client or teacher will ask you, can you do this? Yes. Diba? Normally we just say yes, tapos mamaya pagkatalikod, ano nga yun? Ano yung pinapagawa niya? Pero nag-yes ka na. Diba? It's important to say yes when it's yes, no when it's no. It's important to raise your hand when you have a question. It's important to say you don't know when you don't know. Communication is really, really important. And today, you'll have the chance to do it. Kaya interaction is emphasized. I guess that's my last slide. Or it will be my last slide. So finally, I'm inviting you to the DevCon Summit. It's called DevOps Days, Manila. DevOps is part of the global DevOps brand. And it's going to be on December 2. That's my time. I'm up. It's going to be on December 2, so feel free to volunteer if you want to come and see how this biggest gathering of technologists in Manila will produce in December 2. Check out our site, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and be part, get engaged, be part of DevCon. Maraming salamat po. Have a wonderful afternoon.